trapped and surrounded by scores of Imperials, led by a man that knows everything about him, Mandalorian Djarin never expected one thing: that his butt would be saved by a droid, and an IG unit no less. It's the season finale of The Mandalorian, Chapter 8, Redemption. Hey everyone, D here, and welcome to this week's review, our final review of this season's Mandalorian. So, of course, yes, lots of spoilers coming your way, and always want to tell you and remind you about our quick jump index system. Right in the description below, we'll have this entire review broken down, titleized, time-stamped. You can jump to the end of the review first, you can watch the beginning last, you can watch this review in any order you'd like. So, yes, our big season finale, and a lot more of a wrap-up of our first season storyline that I was expecting. Usually, when we have your season finales, you get your big cliffhanger moment. You kind of get a little bit, you get a hint for what's next season. But really, our cliffhanger was between last episode and now. So last episode in that way sort of felt more season finale-ish. This felt like like I said, more of a wrap-up, and a lot of groundwork laying for where the show is going to go into season 2. A hilarious opening bit, which I will get to in a little, in a few minutes, gets us, of course, back into Mando and Cara and Greef trapped inside the bunker, surrounded by Gideon, who does full evil monologuing, telling everything about. We get our big name drop. We get who the Mandalorian is, his actual name, Djarin. Though if he hasn't heard that really since he was a kid, how do Mandalorians refer to each other? I'm sort of just curious. Well, we might get into a little bit more of that probably next season. But yeah, a little background. We get our full version of his flashback. So we do wrap up our kind of background of our Mandalorian, a full catch-up with that. A great rescue by IG-11 and Baby Yoda, mostly IG-11 there, which was sort of a fun bit in the sense as it kind of gets everyone else. We're about to escape, and by the end of that whole battle, they end up almost exactly, well, they do end up exactly back where they had started, which was sort of a great little bit. It was just, it was fun. We get to sort of wrap up the Mandalorian, what had happened with them. We wrap up a bunch of these small little storylines of what had happened this season. We get some great action sequences out of it. And like I said, really setting things up for our Mandalorian's mission next season to return Baby Yoda whence he came. Or stay with him until he becomes of age. But he's 50 now. That could be a really long time. So probably just the return. But it's great. It gives us our mission too of where we're going. And of course, a little bit more on Moff Gideon, who is going to end up being our big bad going into the next season, as that tail scene sort of really alluded to. So overall, while maybe a little long, I honestly think the episode probably should have ended when they left the armory. The whole last little segment felt a little dragged and tagged. For the most part, a great wrap-up to an awesome season, and of course, keeps us really excited for what's going to come next. All right, well, let's kick things off big with our Scene of the Week for this week, and that is our opening scene with our pair of scout troopers. My God, this had me rolling. I was laughing just as hard the second time I watched it. We don't get to see the behind the scenes, the story, the lives of our stormtroopers and scout troopers. Certainly not in live action. I think we've seen some stuff, but kind of in Rebels, because Clone Wars, I mean, yeah, we saw a bunch of the clones, but that's not the same thing. These are Imperial stormtroopers, scout troopers, and not only the way they're dealing with each other, but also so many awesome references to dealing with the carnage that is happening behind them. The fact that You got the one that just wants to look at the Baby Yoda. Of course, Baby Yoda's cute. I'd want to. We get the other one that keeps bopping him down. It's like, my gosh, you're hating Baby Yoda. What are you doing? The checking in with town. And we come in. Yeah, but, you know, Moff just landed and just took out a squad of troopers. You might want to hang back for just a minute. These guys always want to, like, make a big statement when they land. It was just sort of hilarious seeing how they're reacting to what's going on. You know, delayed even further. No, he just shot an officer for interrupting him. Hold on just another minute. We're not going to check with him. Which is the whole thing because, of course, as Moff Gideon is monologuing, he could have had the kid back if he had just sort of backed up on being so tough. There's kind of a whole funny additional edge to this. But yeah, the argument trying to see the Baby Yoda, has it moved? Has he checked? Well, you want to make sure. The one keeps knocking it. It's like, oh my god. And when the other one finally gets a chance to look at it, Baby Yoda bites his finger and he turns around and punches it. They deserved what got him. You can't mess with Baby Yoda like that. And even the whole shooting scene. The big joke, as we all know, stormtroopers can't hit anything. So what are they doing in the middle of waiting? It's a little target practice. And it was perfect because the one starts shooting, he can't shoot, he can't hit it. The other one reaches in and he's got the swagger like, yeah, all right, I'm just going to take care of this. Nope, misses. Shakes the gun like it's the gun's fault. It was just, there was so much right in that opening scene I would want to see. Throw in more skits of this, have more moments of this. I would eat this up. The behind-the-scene lives of our stormtroopers. And just how they're trying to deal with the ridiculousness of being an Imperial. Is awesome. But of course, if they had just gone, they would not have gotten caught up by IG-11, who wraps up our scene beautifully, just destroying them. They think it's a nurse. Aren't IG-11s hunters? No, well, this one's a nursemaid now, I guess. Give me the baby. No, just wrecks his arm, drops him, flips him over, bashes the other one down, just the whole speeder bike. It just crunched down. That was just awesome. Just gets on and rides right off. I mean, it's a perfect way to wrap up that whole scene. All of it funny, all of it just juicy and enjoyable. And yeah, give me more of that. I would eat this stuff up. Alright, so after that hilarious opener, we get back into the meat of things, of course. Moff Gideon talking down to Mando and Cara and Grief as they're trapped inside the client's old place of business or hideout or whatever that is. It doesn't matter. He's just smoking in the corner. A giant hole in him right now. But here we get... Look, this was a fun scene, and we get some great information here. You know, we have a Moff Gideon doing full-on villain monologuing. Just fully. Give it our background. This is how badass I am. I know who everyone is. You know, give Kara's full name. The fact that she's from Alderaan, shock trooper. We get the Mandalorian's real name, Din Djarin. Which, again, nice big thing. A lot of reveals for a Mandalorian. This Grief, you know, of course, all the identity. The bad guy knows everything about the people that are in there. Standard monologue. We get our threats of weapons. The E-Web. The giant repeating heavy blaster here. So, and a whole description of how badass that particular weapon. You know, I mean, again, it was nice. We show how tough Gideon is. And that he likes to talk. And that he can't be trusted. And at least he's honest about not being trustworthy. No, you can't trust anything I'd say. Of course, I'd be happy to kill all of you. I am just interested in my own... I'm just following my own self-interest. So as long as that aligns with you staying alive, you're good. Not a lot of confidence building right there. And we do get our big, full flashback picture of the Mandalorian as a child, parents running away as the battle droids come in. Battle droids actually looking really dangerous here too. Much more than in a lot of the prequel movies. And maybe that's because with droids versus blank stormtroopers, they're just kind of two robotic looking things going after clone troopers. Sorry. Maybe that it doesn't look as tough. Maybe it's different here going against the civilians. But I really thought just those small little bits of the droids popping through and the clouds and the chaotic nature, they looked really scary. Which is something I actually enjoyed. They looked like a threatening, terrible, oh my god, this is something that would haunt me. And then, of course, parents running up to the little ground storage thing, dropping Djarin in, and then explosion as they close it, and then being saved by the Mandalorian. So yeah, I mean, kind of a cool save right there too, as the battle droid's about to kill the young Din, and then gets blasted by a Mandalorian who comes up, take my hand, and some nice, quiet, you know, dialogue-less conversation going on as young Din is looking around and seeing the Mandalorians taking out the battle droids and rescuing, and he looks at the one that's holding onto him, and you get kind of a nod like, okay, ready to go, and he steps and takes off and flies up and out of the way. I mean, yeah, as a kid, this savior, yeah, you're gonna follow whatever these guys want to do, and it looked super cool. Did have a couple of questions in the sense like, that was pretty big space, why didn't the whole family jump in? Maybe could have saved all of them. Was he trying to distract the battle droids there? I don't know. Also, the big hugs goodbye, of course you want to have that emotional moment, but considering the chaos in the area, that was an awful lot of time taken to hug and say goodbye and do all that to Din. But, again, minor little points. Point being, we do get to see the whole sense of history, the terror of the battle droids, the impressive, the whole almost, you know, religious guardian angel salvation of the Mandalorian troops landing and saving young Din, giving us our background of, yeah, this is why he became a Mandalorian. So all that was very cool. The one thing that was kind of a pain in the butt is, why did Gideon give them until nightfall? You've got the E-Web set up, they are threatened, they give them a time crunch, they have to make a choice now. He might as well have just said, great, now I will give you enough time to figure out a way to get out of here before I attack. Okay? I hate it when they do that. Don't give them till nightfall. Don't give them a day. They have to choose right now. I know it's a classic villain, and it's a live-action cartoon, and all of that stuff. But that was the one kind of thing that annoyed me about that. The other thing that we do get, though, is, of course, our Mandalorian can identify him as Moff Gideon, because the only people that know Din's name, it was put down the Mandalorian registry, and Moff Gideon was an ISP officer at Mandalore during the Purge, when the Imperials took out the Mandalorians. So we get our background, we get our connection, why he would know all these things, and that does become very important later on when we get our kind of little post scene there. Now, of course, the big battle of the episode, of course, comes as IG-11 heads back into town with Baby Yoda to rescue the Mandalorian. This is the one point where I am a little curious, because while this was badass, and I loved IG-11's whole switch around, and the nurse protector of death is awesome. Is going back into town really protecting Baby Yoda? Because he gives that great line, I'm following my mandate to nurse and protect, and heads into town with the bike and goes and takes out all the stormtroopers. Again, super cool. And yes, he does spin around to protect Baby Yoda. Put Baby Yoda on the back. He takes the first shots. But still, should he be coming into town? Is this really following the protection mandate? And just bringing a baby that you're protecting into the middle of a gunfight, laser fight, blaster fight, just doesn't seem like good decision making right there. However, still awesome. Loved seeing him going and just mowing down the stormtroopers and driving down and putting the bike on auto and taking everything out. That was great. Inspires. We got Cara jumping up with their heavy repeater and just mowing people down. We get Mandalorian and Grief coming out. Mandalorian's being all badass and, of course, picking up the E-Web and mowing down more guys. I mean, a great fight. I am glad that Gideon was at least smart. I mean, he shoots, that doesn't do anything, because of course, Beskar Steel, the blaster isn't going to go through, but he shoots the power source for the E-Web, and that's what takes out Mandalorian and forces everyone to go back. Again, the idea that they end up retreating right back into the very building they were escaping from is very comical. I do appreciate that. And we get... Look, the Taylor Law... having Baby Yoda do the big save against the Flame Trooper was super cool. Very impressive. Shows Grief, shows Cara the power of Baby Yoda. But we get some really bad music in that. The cheese level of... And look, I'm a cheesy guy. Cheese is fine by me. But the music when we get the Flame Trooper coming around is like, dun, 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 and lower up, and it's looking all imposing, and I'm like, okay, again, I'm supposed to be scared from the music and the framing. I'm not totally, just because it's a Stormtrooper with little red, markings on him. But the music in that was just so cheesily over the top. This is the one critique I constantly have with this show. There is some music that is fine, but so much of it is just over the top, overly dramatic, too much. Tone it down just a little bit. I think would go a whole lot further, because that whole bit, again, cool. You got the Flame Trooper coming in. You got a Mandalorian telling everyone, get out of here, take the baby, I will die, you know I'm not going to make it. I mean, it was a great dynamic there of scene. Here's my little necklace thing, the little skull stuff on it that ends up, that Baby Yoda gets at the end there. Show this to the Mandalorians, they will protect you. It's a very cool self-sacrificing scene. I just wish the music wasn't as over the top as it was. And we do get, and this is when we finally get our vision of, we get our look at our Mandalorian. We actually get to see Pedro Pascal's face on this. And for a reveal, it was a little underwhelming. I mean, it makes sense, IG-11's a droid. He's not a living thing, so it's not like anybody is seeing you. He's not alive, They give a great excuse to it. But it also gives the idea of like, okay, wait a minute. All he needs to do is put a little Bacta spray and you're good to go. So as the Mandalorian creed, again they specify, it's not a people, it's a creed. So much that it's better you die than get first aid. Just saying, it's a little extreme right there, considering one little Bacta spray got him back up and going. I don't know. I mean, it was nice to see Pedro Pascal's face. We do get our shot, and of course it is appropriate. End of the season. We've gotten his name. We've gotten to see his background. We should get to see his face and have that whole complete, introduction occur. But just kind of a little, it was cool, but if you think about it for just a moment, it's like, really gonna die because you can't wrap up that head wound. Oh, okay. But of course, instead of burning up inside the building, they are able to use IG-11's little plasma burner to finally get through the grate into the sewers down to where the Mandalorians are, in what can only be described as the cleanest sewer I've ever seen. And it's not, I mean, what, the Mandalorians, they haven't lived in all of the sewers. It's got to be just sections of the sewers. They haven't cleaned everything. All I'm saying is, it's very clean down there. doesn't seem very sewer-ish. We're not looking at the trash compactor on the Death Star in any way, shape, or form here. No nasty fluids. Very clean. If any inspectors went down there, they'd have to know some people were living there because they keep the place tip-top shape. Anyway, this is our escape scene, of course, and seeing the pile of Mandalorian helmets was a big, just punch in the gut. I think it was very terrifying, considering the fact that last we saw the Mandalorians, they had come up out of hiding in order to save Din Djarin here and the child, and let them be able to get out. And here we see the price that they have paid. Imperials came in, wiped out a whole bunch. We can't tell whose child helmets and whose adult helmet. I can't figure out. Obviously, he picked up some familiar ones. I'd have to go back to the old episode to see exactly whose helmet that he had picked up. Was it Big Guys? I think it was Big Guys. Might have been Big Guys. Anyway, so seeing the effects of that was yeah, a bit of a punch in the gut. Like seeing that the armorer survived and is remelting down all of the armor to use for the next generation. It's just, Mandalorians are definitely, they hold on to their stuff. They understand the value of Beskar steel and their armor. You don't let that go to waste. You don't bury that stuff. You reuse it, which I appreciated. It's a whole great last scene of just kind of getting the Mandalorian's next mission, that it is the way, that now as a foundling, Baby Yoda is going to be the Mandalorian's responsibility. He is basically the father now until he can return the child to his own people, or the child becomes of age and can, you know, take up the Mandalorian armor himself, which would be hilarious in little tiny form. But considering the age range, that's going to be a really long time. So much faster to return Baby Yoda to his people, her people, its people. Still don't know the sex of the child. They haven't really cleared that up. Keep saying he, but I don't know if they've really firmly established that. And of course, we get re-armored up. We get the whole jetpack and everything, which is great. And honestly, this is where I think the episode should have ended. Where we have everyone together and they're leaving, heading out. We've already got the directions. Go down here. That'll get you to the flats and off planet. This, to me, felt like an appropriate place to end the episode. Because everything after this felt a little cheesy, a little tacked on, a little unnecessary. I mean, we do get, of course, we get an R2 unit that has arms and legs and pushes a boat. That was funny to see. We do get the whole IG-11 T2, now I know why you cry bit and self-sacrifice. We, of course, have our Mandalorian, whose hatred of droids is notorious, especially this droid, now not wanting IG-11 to kill himself, to sacrifice himself in order to save the child. Again, very T2. I'm a nurse. Listen, I'm a nursemaid now, so I can tell when you're upset. My reprogramming has allowed me to do that. I can hear you behind that mask. So yeah, it was very much a T2 moment there, Terminator 2. Then we get his sacrifice, which is great, saved everyone. We get our last bit with Gideon coming down to attack. And again, this is where it gets a little cheesy, because our armor specifically told our Mandalorian, have you trained on this? Not since I was a kid. Okay, well, afterwards you're going to have to do your exercises. You have to get down to it, because until you work it out, it's not going to respond to you. Even handing it off to IG-11 there. Hold on to this until he gets out and you can do the things. So they imply very much that this takes some training, some work. And yet, the moment he needs it, it's, all right, I'm good to go. Look, I know it was one shot up and then he shot the thing, got dragged along with it and fine. Again, also hilarious getting whipped behind a TIE fighter right there. Love putting the bombs on the pylons there to blow out. The fact that he dropped the first one. Also nice. It gives a sort of human approach towards it, not an infallible, unstoppable killing machine. It makes the Mandalorian a little bit more relatable. And yes, of course, there's no explosion when the TIE fighter crashes, which is how we know that Moff Gideon's going to survive, even if we didn't see that tail scene. However, even then, when he's like, all right, time to go, take the baby, and flying off, just like when he was a kid, and he was rescued by the Mandalorian, it's almost like the same step and move. It's like, all right, well, I guess you got it down. No training for you. That was easy. You could have had an arc there, something interesting. Instead, you had to have this big move to tie things up with Moff Gideon, and I didn't think any of this was necessary. You didn't need the sacrifice for IG-11 here. You didn't need the jetpack scene from here. They should have just taken off, and we could have cleared things up. We do get the whole grief speech there at the end now, thinking that Moff Gideon is dead. If he's not dead, is it really going to be an issue? Is it really going to be a safe place there? Kara's going to stay, you know, Mandalorian's welcome back anytime, and he's going to get the best bounty. So we get, I mean, that kind of emotional wrap-up, but did we really need that? Or is it just to put a bow on things? I don't know. So, about that final Moff Gideon scene. Yes, the TIE didn't explode. Of course, he's not dead. We're not having an introduction for a villain that does full monologuing like that get killed right after we meet him. I mean, even the client at least took a few episodes to get through before he got taken out. And Gideon is going to be the new badass going into next season. And that is heavily stated not only by him surviving, but, of course, the blade that he uses to cut through his TIE fighter, that dark-edged lightsaber-ish blade, is the Darksaber. I know, very imaginative name, but yes, that's what it's called, the Darksaber. Last seen, at least by me, in the hands of Sabine Wren in Star Wars Rebels. Sabine, our very colorful Mandalorian from that show. But yeah, the Darksaber is effectively like the Excalibur of Mandalore. He who wields the Darksaber rules Mandalore, leads Mandalore by right. He or she. Could go either way, because again, Sabine used that to unite the Mandalorian clans in Rebels. So, this is what we're seeing. We did get the Mandalorian Din Djarin mentioning that Moff Gideon was the ISP officer in charge on Mandalore during the Purge. So at some point there, after he got all of his information on everybody and all the Mandalorians and got stuck inside of his Imperial files, also seems to have at that point recovered the Darksaber. So that is going to be a big thing going forward because, of course, wielding that, Moff Gideon should be able to lead the Mandalorians. But he's also Imperial. So there's gonna be some issues. Also, Mandalorians are very clannish. Their interpretations could be widely different. But that is setting him up really as the big bad going into the next season. And hopefully more will be getting Din uniting more of the Mandalorians, getting a clan. And maybe we'll be seeing some real large Mandalorian battles next season. We can hope. But we're definitely seeing more of Gideon. And that saber. Alright, just a couple of small things. One, do want to mention the badassery of our Mandalorian armor. Love that final scene as she's just resting in front of her forge and the stormtroopers come out with those forging hammers. She beats the crap out of them. Shattering mess and everything. It was just... it's beautiful. It was nice. Shows us how badass she is, and again, implying another character that we are going to be seeing more of next season. The armor also finishing up our Mandalorian's armor, not just giving him the fancy flying backpack, but giving him his signet finally, which is the Mudhorn, the creature that Baby Yoda saved him from, but also designates him as a clan of two, himself and Baby Yoda. So, cool little insignia, still badass. even the Mandalorians are doing just a skull of a mudhorn, and it's all like just badass mudhorn. It's great. But really, again, setting up that whole family unit now that we have of Mandalorian and the child. Very cool. That signet's definitely going to be on a shirt soon. And yes, while I am very sad IG-11 died for multiple reasons, love to nurse and protect. I mean, what a line. I did get that there was a perfect kind of full circle that we have with him self-destructing, considering that when the Mandalorian first met IG-11, while first going after the child, IG-11 was trying to self-destruct several times during that battle because it was being overwhelmed, and Mandalorian had to keep that from happening. And now, IG-11 did self-destruct, but now to save the Mandalorian and the child as opposed to just keep from being captured. So yeah, there is kind of a full circle of that idea. I get that. Still, he knew why he'd have cried. So sad. Alright, well I think that pretty much covers everything. A hell of a first season. Yeah, a little ups, a little downs. I mean, again, it's a live action cartoon. Seeing it in those eyes really smooths over a lot of the cheese that's in there. You can understand why it's part of the show. But we have still gotten some great, awesome fights. We have gotten some wonderful storytelling, great comedic moments, and some awesome characters that I'm really hoping we get to revisit. Well, the ones that are still alive, at least. Season 2 should be, again, expanding this story. We now have the Mandalorian going and trying to find where the child came from. Possibly that means we get a whole Yoda world we'll explore. Maybe not, but we should also get a little bit more of Moff Gideon, more Mandalorian storyline. Seems like that's really where they're leaning things in, is really blowing up the whole post-Imperial Mandalore world. So very excited about that. But outside of that, really just a lot of speculation of what we can see coming forward. But a hell of a first season. Really just knocked it out of the park. One of the better Star Wars live-action stories we've seen, I think, in a while, from just a large, comprehensive standpoint. It really gets me excited to what they're going to do more with this. Not only Season 2, but Obi-Wan, which I was already excited about. Now really excited seeing how they're going to be approaching it and the sort of love and care that they're going to really take for these stories. So, hell of a first season, and so much more to look forward to. But, of course, that will wrap things up for now. Thank you, as always, for joining me with this review. Love all of your comments, love all of your insights, even your corrections with me when I get things wrong, which does happen. Really appreciate hearing from all of you, and it just makes doing these reviews so much more exciting to get to share this show with you. That's why we're doing it, right? In fact, to that end, next week, we're actually going to be doing a live stream discussion of the whole first season. Haven't nailed down a time yet. It's going to be probably Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. But we're going to have a few people. I'm going to have Rob over from Smoking Gun Reviews. I'm going to have Marc over from Enchantment of Eternity. We're just going to talk about the season, what we liked about it, what we didn't like, what we're hoping to see going forward. And, of course, if you join us live in the chat, we'll answer as many of your questions as we can. We'll make it a whole thing. So keep an eye out on my channel and Twitter feed. I will let you guys know as soon as I get a time nailed down. Holiday schedules, always crazy. But like I said, for now, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you as always. And if you enjoyed it, please go ahead and hit that like button. Thoughts, ideas, and comments, you know I want to hear them. Put them down in the section below. What do you guys think about this episode? What did you think about this season? And what are you hoping that we're going to see next season? Put those down in that section. You can always catch me on Twitter and Instagram. I am at Darren Jakes. Please subscribe. I know we're wrapping this up, but we got Walking Dead second half of the season coming up in February. We got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the summer. So many more things to come. Don't miss any of those if you're a subscriber. Do that by clicking this button right here. Please be sure to hit the notification bell in order to be notified when new reviews are dropped. And we'll throw up a couple of those latest reviews right here for you to check out. So, that's going to be it for me. I'm D, And I'm out of here. Catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.